So let's
Wonderful.
start.
Perfect. Well, first of all, welcome everyone to a new Tech Dive series where we will take you and we will take a look and a deep dive into Barbara's Edge AI platform and demonstrate how to deploy models and application at the edge through the different use cases. I'm Emilia Azum, part of the Barbara team. We're very excited and thank you to have you all here. And before we start, we would like to encourage each and every one of you to make this session as interactive as possible. So please feel free to make use of the Q&A feature to raise your questions during the whole session. We will be addressing them with Enrique as we go along. So with no further ado, let me introduce to Enrique Ramirez, our solution architect. Together we will walk you through the main aspects of the platform and the key features of our platform. In addition, throughout the session, I'll be sharing relevant content and resources related to today's topics, so please make sure to keep an eye on the chat. So, Kike,
Thank you, Emilia.
please.
Yes, let's begin. Let's begin. So thank you everybody for being with us today. We have the first Tech Dive session in 2026. So first
Mhm.
of all, Happy New Year to everybody. Okay,
Exactly.
and let's have a quick review of some of the functionalities of the platform. In fact, we have a new version released just a couple of days ago. So
Mhm.
today we are going to see some of the new features we have available in the Barbara platform. Okay, so let me share my screen and let's start directly. Just see the agenda for today. Okay, so here we are. Okay, I think you're seeing my screen right now. So
Yes.
um, okay, here we are. So, as I mentioned before, the agenda for today is similar to the one we have for other day, but with some changes. We are going to see first why to use HAI. Okay, we are going to make a brief introduction of what is the Edge technology, what is it useful for, so we can understand how and when we need to apply it. Okay, then we will see a couple of use cases, okay? And in this session of today, we're going to deploy an ignition instance from one of our edge nodes, okay? We will make the deployment and we will update the version of this ignition to see how powerful is this way of working with ignition with Barbara, okay? And then in the second case, we will see another case study where we will see the OEE parameters of a CNC machine. Okay, we will simulate a CNC machine in a factory and we will calculate the OEE factor and we will have this data in a dashboard. Okay, so we will see a complete use case of how to deploy that use case in one of our edge nodes. Okay, then once we have seen both use cases, we will make a review of the latest features, the 3.20 version. Okay, the latest version we have for panel because we have included some good functionalities, some functionalities that were requested by our customer, like the dashboard, like the auto onboarding flow, which is very useful for new people that is entering in the platform. Different functionalities what we will see on detail later. Okay, so let's start. Okay, let's start explaining why should we use Edge AI. Okay, so let's start explaining what Edge AI is. And Edge AI is just a new technology, okay, that helps you to deploy and run and manage application and models, not in the cloud, okay, as it is commonly used until today, but on devices that are distributed on-prem. Okay, so normally we have devices that are located near where the data is being generated, normally in in our customer facilities. So this way we can control these remote devices using this platform, which is Barbara Panel. Okay, and we can control them, configure them, we can deploy AI models, we can deploy application. This is the way we will work with Barbara. So basically, the HAI help you to run this workload, application and model in these remote devices, not in the cloud. Okay, so this is a simple concept. Okay, just moving the workload from the cloud to the edge. Okay, but why should we do that? Okay, what are the edge advantages, or why should we move these processes that were commonly run on the cloud to be run now on the edge. Okay, so here we can see some key factors that help us to understand the reason why we should run everything, not everything, but this kind of thing on the edge. Okay, for example, the cost. Okay, normally the cost in the cloud is not predictable. Okay, you need to pay depending on the resources you use, and the resources you use heavily relies on the amount of data you need to process, or the kind of data, or this kind of thing. So it is not easy to control the cost when you are using the cloud. On the other hand, when we move these processes to the edge, you will have to pay for one device, you will have to pay for the installation of that device, but once you have that, you don't have to pay anything else. So the costs are much more predictable and slower, I would say lower than when you use in the cloud. The second factor is the security, okay? The security and the privacy, because they are really, really, relational. Okay, but normally when we speak about security, the everybody can say, okay, why should be my edge deployment more secure than my cloud? Because I keep my cloud secure. I use tools. I use, a good practice to keep my cloud secure. So that is true. Okay, we know that you can deploy workloads on the cloud using good practice and security, cybersecurity tool to help you protect your workload. But the fact, and this is a fact that is happening every day, is that the 71 percent of the cloud services received attack during 2024. Okay, so the public surface receive much more attacks than the private surface. Okay, that is a fact. So that is why normally running your processes and your model on the edge is more secure than in the cloud. Okay, then we can speak about the privacy. Okay, because that is the key factor. Okay, there is nothing. If you don't want your data to be stolen or to be stolen, the most secure thing is don't moving your data to the cloud. Okay, if you keep your data in your facilities and your data is not leaving your facilities, your privacy is 100% guaranteed. So you can be safer that way than when you are moving your privacy data to the cloud. Okay. Finally, let's speak a little bit about the friendly or the best user experience when you are using Edge AI than when you're using the cloud. Okay, normally cloud services have what we call the IT software interface, which is not really friendly to most OT users. Okay, they are not really used to work with this kind of interfaces, and this can be quite complex for them to make a simple deployment. Okay, and the user experience on the edge, especially when you are using Barbara, because we care a lot to have a good user experience in our tool. You will see it in some minutes when we start using it. So the necessary time to learn how to deploy an application or a model using Barbara is much lower and much simpler than when you are using any of these cloud services. Apart from that, I will include also another key factor that is not here, and this is the latency. Okay, this is also a key factor. If you need your services to run with low latency, you cannot send your data to the cloud to be processed there and then come back to your premises, because it will take more time than requested, and it will not be an option. So in case you need to have lower latency, you need to run your your services on the edge. Okay, that is something that normally happen when you need quick responses to your data. Okay, so this is basically the reason why the our industrial customer needs to move these processes to from the cloud to the edge. Okay, so here we will see how it is the Barbara platform organized. Okay, it is a good diagram because it helps you to understand how Barbara works and how can we manage these edge devices. Okay, here in this diagram we can see this blue box here, what we call the edge node. Okay, we are representing here just one edge node, this blue box, but normally we have hundreds or thousands of different edge nodes located on in our customer premises. Okay, so imagine you have, I don't know, some factories all over the world, and you have 20 or 100 or 2000, I don't know, different machines. So these machines are running what we call the Barbara core. What is the Barbara core? The Barbara core is one of our products. It is basically an operating system that we develop using the Linux kernel. Okay, so we create this OS from bottom up from the Linux kernel, and we design it to be cyber secure. Okay, from the very beginning. So once you install this OS in any of your devices, you will have a system that is protected against cyber attacks. Okay, so you will have no open port, you will have secure communication, only outgoing communication, which is very important, encryption, file encryption. You will have, I don't know, TPM support, secure boot, a lot of different functionalities related to cybersecurity that makes this device to be compliant with the AIC 62443 specification for cybersecurity in industrial environment. Okay, so this is the first step, installing this OS in your equipment. Okay, one more thing related to the equipment. What kind of devices can I use here? Okay, this is one of the best features we have in Barbara, because you can use from physical devices. Okay, we are compatible with any physical device that is based on Intel or ARM architecture. Okay, we can see later the full list of compatibility, but we can be compatible with any Intel or ARM equipment. Okay, but not only that, we can also manage virtual machines. Okay, so we are compatible with KVM, with Hyper-V, and with VMware. Okay, so you just need to set up a machine in any of these framework, and then you can install the Barbara code on that virtual machine. So this way you will have a virtual edge node. Okay, so this is the way we work. Once you have the machine with the Barbara core installed, it will automatically connect to our API. And about the API, we have two more products. The first one is Panel, and Panel is the interface we use for managing these devices. Okay, this way we can access Panel from a simple browser, and we can check all the devices we have with their status, the telemetry, the configuration, and we can control anything related to this life cycle. Okay, then we have also a marketplace. A marketplace is just an application hub that contains over 100 different applications ready to be deployed in this edge node here. Okay, so the process is really simple. You just need to use Panel to select any application in the marketplace and deploy that application here. Check that the application is installed in this side of this plane we have here. We have a plane here that divides the orchestration plane from the solution plane, okay? Because Barbara lives on the orchestration plane, okay? What does it mean? This means that you will never see your data in Panel. You will see data about the device, about the application, the logs, the configuration, this kind of thing, but you will never see any industrial data in Panel. The industrial data is managed by this application. So you can use this application that come from the marketplace to, for example, connect to an OpenCI server, read some data, send them to a database, having a Grafana dashboard to visualize everything. So this is the way we work with Barbara, just deploying application here and managing this data in this part of the plane, in the solution plane. Okay. Just before finishing, let me add that the platform itself can be deployed either on the cloud, okay, we are going to use today the SaaS version of Panel, okay? But for those customers that they prefer to have their own instance, the private instance of Panel, we can also do that. So we have also a non-prem installation for the platform. Okay, so we can offer both options of working with Barbara. Okay. We have this another diagram that also helped you to understand how is everything working. Okay, we have here a Barbara Edge node. This is blue box. We have it the Barbara Edge node. It is running the Barbara core, which is orchestrating all these applications that can be deployed in this Edge node remotely. Okay, so we will use panel, we will use marketplace. We can access both platform through a browser, okay? So we can remotely access to panel or marketplace, and this way we can send command to this edge node to orchestrate all this kind of application. So here we can see also that a thing that I didn't mention before. I mentioned that we can deploy marketplace application, but not only that, okay? Because as you can see here, it is also possible to deploy and orchestrate your own application. We are not limited to marketplace application. Marketplace applications are really convenient because they are simple to configure, they're ready to use, they are tested by us. So we normally encourage our user to use the marketplace application, but obviously there are some cases where the user have their own application or they have their own AI model and they need to deploy that. So we can also do that. Okay, we can also deploy any application or model. We are compatible with TensorFlow, with PyTorch, with scikit-learn, with ONNX, okay, and some more AI model frameworks, okay, and also with any application that is deployed using Docker system. Okay, so we can do that. So again, that is the way we work. Okay, and I think that is a good introduction. Okay, a good introduction of why should we use HAI and how is working Barbara. And now I think that the best thing we can do is just moving to the solutions and case studies and see everything in action. Okay. So before starting, please again, if any of you have any question or you want to, I don't know, receive some information about any topic I'm mentioning, please just write your question in the Q&A section here in the webinar, and we will be happy to answer to you. Okay. So, well, that is. Here we can see some of the solutions we can deploy using Barbara. As I mentioned before, we are an orchestration tool. Okay, that means that we can deploy different use cases, unlimited use cases, just depending on how do you choose the application you want to deploy, how do you configure this application. You can manage the data in different ways to cover different use cases. Okay, so here what we are seeing are just some classic solution that are normally demanded by our customer. Okay, so the idea is that when you're using a Barbara platform with any of these devices, okay, that I mentioned before, we are hardware agnostic, you can deploy some different solution. For example, data operation and unified namespaces. Okay, what does it mean? Solution that basically gets data, read data from different data origins, and create a pipeline, a data bus or data pipeline to make this data available to any service that is that needs to access the data in a unified way and with using a standardized format. Okay, we can help you to do that to avoid having silos in your industry or in your company. We can also deploy predictive analytics solutions that normally take the data and apply some AI model or some AI assisted process to get some value from that data. Okay, so we can also help you to do that using different tools. We can also deploy computer vision solution to work with video. Okay, we can connect to any camera. We can get the frames of that video. We can analyze it using AI to get different values from the images to do QA, to do pattern recognition or whatever. Okay, so we can also help you to do that. Then we can also deploy software-defined automation use case to work with virtual PLCs or to work with any other of these systems. And finally, we can also deploy cybersecurity solutions where we can use some cybersecurity tools to analyze the network, to detect threats using AI, or to do this kind of thing. Okay. Today, what we will do is just covering a couple of use cases. The first one, we're going to get an edge node. We have a physical edge node available in our lab. Okay, it's an AdvanTech 3301 equipment, and we will deploy an ignition instance on that equipment. Okay, deploying an instance is something that may be it can be tricky sometimes, the installation of ignition. We will see how easy it is to deploy it remotely in a machine using Barbara. So the process is very easy. We are going to deploy ignition, then we are going to restore an image of the gateway to put a simple application. It's just an application that takes some data from a Modbus server, okay, and print them on the screen. We will modify this backup, this application. We will make a simple modification, and then we will update the ignition version to a new version to show you how easy it is to do that. We will check that no data is lost, that the application that we loaded before with the modification we made are still available. Okay, that is what we are going to do. Okay, the benefits of deploying ignition with Barbara are quite easy to explain. Faster rollout. Today we are going to deploy a simple ignition instance, but we will see how easy it is to deploy 100 instances in 100 different edge nodes remotely. So imagine how many times can you save using Barbara. Okay, then the reduced downtime. Okay, that is something we can also offer high availability in our services. So we can, and we will show you, we will show you how we can use high availability using ignition. Okay, so that way you will have no downtime in your ignition instance. And finally, the consistent and secure operations. Okay, we can do everything in a single click in parallel. So we can test everything before, and then we can repeat any action without the possibility of introducing any error. So that is what we will do. The diagram of what we are going to deploy is really simple. As you can see, we are just going to deploy a basic application in the edge node. This is the edge node. We are going to deploy the ignition, and then we will read some data from a Modbus server we have on the field, and we will manage everything in the ignition gateway from the designer launcher through our VPN. Okay, so let's move to panel and let's start seeing what can we do with our list. Okay, I will enter in this account. We have here the dashboard. Let's move to the node list. Okay, we can see here a lot of different edge nodes. Okay, we will see later, we have a new map view. I like it a lot, okay, because we have here all the devices. We are going to divide this one, which is located in Madrid. This is in the office, okay, and we will just use this equipment, okay, it's this one. This is the equipment we are going to use to deploy the ignition instance, okay? So very quickly, we will review, we have the information about the node, and then we have the information in this tab about the application and model here. There is nothing running in this equipment. Let me show you very quickly a couple of things before deploying the application. The first thing is that we have the data about the device we are using here in this card. You can see we are using this AdvanTech EP3301, okay? We can see the location, the timing. We have the telemetry of this machine, okay, to check all the parameters. And we can see here the network card where we have all the information about the network configuration of this equipment. We can see the local IP. We can see that there is a VPN enabled for this equipment. So I can access this device remotely using this VPN. Okay, and I will use this later. Then we can go here and see what can we deploy. Okay, we are going to deploy. Let me show you the marketplace. Okay, I will go here to the marketplace and we will see that in the marketplace, I have an ignition application ready to be used, as you can see here. Okay, so we have all the information about this application. We have the technical note with all the with all the things we need to know to configure every parameters. Okay, we see that this application is already in my library. Okay, because if not, I have to add it to my library. But if I go to my library, I will see that here we have ignition. Okay, we can see all the application that are ready to be deployed in our Edge node. Okay, here is where we can add marketplace application or our own application if necessary. Okay, anyway, I will just go back to the Edge node. Okay, and I will just deploy the ignition instance. Okay, you will see how easy to do that. I will move to application and model. I will press add button, add a new application. Okay, here I will indicate that I want to deploy the ignition application. I will not deploy the latest version because I want to update it. So I will use the previous one. Okay, so I will select this application. I will configure my ignition instance, for example, the username, the password, the edition, because I'm using the standard edition, but we can select Edge or Maker or whatever. If I have an ignition license key, I can add it here, okay, to activate my license. Okay, so I have different ways of configuring ignition. Everything is explained here in this release note of my application in the marketplace. Okay, I will just use the default values here. Here is where I can configure the port that ignition will use for different services. Okay, for example, here we can see the port that we need to use for accessing ignition remotely. Okay, and then we will see the application. Okay, we will send the application to the Edge node. As you will see, now we have a new card indicating that we are using this ignition instance with the version A30B1 with the status of the application. We can stop and start the service. Here, check that we have this notification here indicating that we must update the version because it is not the latest one. Okay, we have a notification for that. And here we can see all the configuration that we use in the application. So if we need to configure anything after the deployment, we can also do that. It is not a problem. So you can manage any of these parameters quickly after the deployment. And here you will see the logs of this ignition instance. Okay, you can see all the logs for this ignition. Okay, so you can see that it's being running right now. Now we are going to access this application. How can I do that? We just need to check that the VPN IP is this one. Okay, let me show you this one. So I will copy it. So open a new tab with the IP and the port 8088 that we used before. We will be able to access to this ignition instance. Okay. So let me check the logs. Okay, just to see that. Okay, here we are. Okay, sorry. I made a mistake. Sorry. I will start again because I forgot to delete the ignition volume. Okay, that way I will explain to you what a volume is. A volume is if it's a folder where the applications are storing data. Okay, so I had this folder here created. And it was using the latest version, so I had a conflict in the version. So I will delete this volume, okay, and I will start again because if not, the deployment will fail because of this new version, a different version in the folder than in the application. So I will start again. I will add ignition. I will use the previous version, okay. I will configure everything again and I will deploy it. So now we have again it has started. I can see this, and if I reload this page, okay, here we have it. Okay, so now you can see the ignition gateway is starting. We have taken, I don't know, 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes to deploy remotely the ignition instance in this server. Okay, this is very, very convenient that you can see. Okay, and now what we will do is when we can access here, it is ready right now. Okay, I can log in this gateway using the username and password I configure in the wizard. Okay, so I will just indicate that it is the username and that is the password. Anyway, if I have some doubt, check that you can again go here and review that this is your username and this is the password you need. Okay, everything is configured here. So we will just enter in this ignition instance. And now what I will do is, okay, I will go to my system and I will enter in backup and restore images, and I will restore choosing a file that I have in my equipment. This is a backup of an ignition gateway containing an application that we are going to use in this use case. Okay, it is a very simple application. I will just restore the gateway. Okay, so now it will reboot, and after rebooting, I will be able to access this gateway using the designer application from Ignition. Okay, so let's just wait a couple of seconds more to finish the installation, and then we will see that we have here the gateway restored. I will log in again because it has logged out after the rebooting. And let's check. I think it should be around here somewhere. Okay, here we have it. The gateway version we are using is 830B2. Okay, so this is the first version we have used, and now we can launch Designer from here. And I will enter, I will connect using the Designer to this gateway to show the application that we are going to use. Okay, so okay. Okay, here we are. We have the designer here, and I can use the same username and password to access the designer. And now, okay, it's open in the other window, so I will just select the test application. I will open it, and I will see the application just in a couple of seconds. Okay, so I think it will open again in my other display. It is still loading modules. And okay, here we are. Here we are. Fantastic. So we have this test application, okay? And as you can see, it's a simple application that is basically reading some Modbus registers, okay, and displaying them in this screen. Okay? Very, very simple. Okay, so what we have done is deploying the ignition gateway, restoring this image with that application. I am going to make something simple. For example, I will take this label, I will copy it, and I will paste it. Okay, so now I will change this, you say, for example, new label. Okay, so this way I have a modification in this application. Okay, so now what I can do is just saving that. Okay, I will save and exit. Okay, so this way, now this data that I have saved is stored in this volume. Okay, remember the volume we deleted before? We have another volume created 4 minutes ago. Okay, with the new data from Ignition, we are using 236 megabytes. Okay, so all the modification I am doing are stored in this volume. So now I can do something very simple. What I will do is just remember we are using this version. Okay, so I will just close this tab. I will go back here and now I will say, perfect. I have this instance running. I will update that. So I'm going to update the version. Now I am going to use the 831 version. Okay. And I will just deploy this new version on this Ignition instance. So check that everything is being updated. And we have now it has pulled the image, and I think that everything should be working fine. I think so. Let me check it again. Okay. Sorry. I have to copy the IP of the VPN. And now, sorry, 8088. And now, exactly, I will see the new version. Let me check the version. Okay. Okay. User and password. And now we can see we have the new version 831. Okay, it has been updated. And even more, I can launch the designer again. Okay, I hope it's quicker than before. And we can check the application that we are using with the new label I added before updating everything. So this is the way of showing you how can we update, deploy and update Ignition instance very quickly in a remote device. Okay, so I think it's going to open here. Okay, I will enter in the designer. And here we have again, open the test. It is loading modules again, and I will show you this. And this way, we will see that everything remains the same without any modification after the installation of the new version 831. Okay. Obviously, it has been done for a single device. It really doesn't make a difference considering if you are manually installing anything. Okay, here we have the test application with the new lab. Okay, everything remains the same as we left it before. So where is the powerful or the power about using Barbara with Ignition together? A couple of things. The first thing, what I mentioned before, we have installed one Ignition instance in one device, but we can do something like that. I can just select all my devices, okay, and I can select this, what we call the bash command to install an Ignition instance, okay, and the version, whatever I need, for example, the latest one, and I can configure the secret, I can configure the port, everything can be done in the same way, but now I am not just installing in a single edge node, but on 17 different edge nodes, because in this account I have 17, but it can be 17,000 if necessary, okay? Even more, even if they are offline, as you can see, okay? So we have some offline devices that are not connected right now to panel. It is not a problem. We can send the command and as soon that they get internet connection again, they will apply the command and they will install the application automatically. Okay, so this is the first thing we can do, deploying Ignition in a lot of different edge devices. But what is even more important is the possibility of using high availability. Okay, that is why we have this cluster option here. This is the way of creating cluster. I have an Ignition cluster. It's basically a cluster composed by 3 edge nodes, node Ignition 1, 2, and 3. Check that we have these devices here also, 1, 2, and 3. They can be used as a single device, but also we can use them as a cluster. I can create a cluster, I can set a name, and then I just can select any node that I want to use in this cluster. Okay, so this way I have created this cluster composed by three edge nodes that are working together. Okay, so now check that we have an ignition instance that is running here in this edge node because we have this application and model where we have this ignition here, but it's not running on a single edge node, but on top of three. Okay, now we have only one instance running in this device we have here. But check what happens, for example, if I need to update this device. Imagine that I need to update it or I need to reboot it for any reason. Obviously, if I reboot this device and I'm not using high availability, the application will be on a downtime during the reboot. Okay. So what we do using cluster is selecting the drain mode. Okay, so we can drain this equipment. This is a way of saying move empty that device because I am going to update it. So once it has been drained, the application that was running here will move automatically to any of these available devices. Now it's here, as you can see. Okay, and this way I can work with that device, but because the application and the data related to that application will be moved to this edge node and it will keep running on this edge node. So it is a way of having no downtimes in the services. You can create cluster with 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, as many edge nodes that you need, and you can install the application on top of the cluster. So this is the way of having no downtimes in your service. I think that is a good, I will activate again this edge node, okay, to keep everything running normally. But I think that is a good example of how to deploy Ignition, how to work with that using Barbara. It is one of the application that together work really well. Okay, Ignition and Barbara this way. Let's continue. Okay, let's continue with the next use case I wanted to show you today. Okay, what is the use case of mean or OEE calculation? Okay, the OEE is basically a parameter that is called overall equipment effectiveness. Okay, so what we are going to use is this process. We will use an application called Industrial Data Simulator that generates a data stream simulating a CNC machine. We don't have a CNC machine here in the lab. I would like to, but we don't have it. So we are going to simulate it using that application. We will create a data stream that publish data from the behavior of that machine when it's working, okay? And it will publish everything on an MQTT broker. Okay, we will deploy a broker and we will generate the data stream on the broker. Then we will deploy a node-RED process that will connect to the broker, read all the data, and calculate the availability, the performance, and the quality. Okay, we will see how we do that. Okay, normally availability is how many times is the machine working and how many times the machine is not working. Okay, the performance is how quick is working, how many products per minute I am manufacturing. Okay, and lastly, the quality is how well I am doing this product. Okay, so we can calculate these parameters, and when we have these three parameters, we can calculate the OEE like the multiplication of the three together. Okay, everything, all of these parameters, availability, performance, quality, and OEE, will be published back in the MQTT broker, and all the data will be saved in an InfluxDB database. And finally, we will use a Grafana tool to have a dashboard to visualize all the parameters of the CNC machine. Okay. As a result of this process, we have a more complex diagram, as you can see, but don't be afraid, it will be very quickly. We will deploy it really quickly, okay? But now we need more pieces in our microservices architecture, okay? Remember, we have the broker, the MQTT broker, which is always the communication backbone for everything, okay? Then we have the industrial data simulator. Then we have the Node-RED, which is getting the data from the CNC and publishing back the OEE. Then we have the InfluxDB to store the data, and finally the Grafana to visualize the dashboard with all the calculation. Hi, and why do we call this architecture a mean architecture? Because we are using, as you can see here, MQTT, which is the M, InfluxDB for I, and Node-RED for N, and Grafana for G. That is the MING letters that you can see here. This is a really common architecture used in the industrial world. Okay, so let's go back to our panel. Okay, and I will use the same edge node that I used before for deploying this use case. This way, I will also show you how easy it is to uninstall something from an edge node. Okay, so I just need to click here and press remove application. So I will uninstall this ignition, and in some second, this car will disappear. And this is, well, we don't have anything about ignition anymore, but check that if I go back to my volumes, I will still have here amongst any other from other volume for other applications that had been installed in this edge node. We have here the ignition gateway data, which was created 13 minutes ago, which is taking now 238 megabytes. Okay, so the data is here. If I now deploy ignition again, I will not lose anything because all the data is still in this volume. I just need to delete the volume manually if I want to do that, okay? But if not, all the data will keep in my edge node, which is something very, very useful, okay? Let's focus on the actual use case. Let's go back to my diagram and let me remind you what are we going to use. Let's start deploying the broker, and after the broker, we will deploy the industrial data simulator. Okay, so I will do these two steps very quickly. Okay, we have here the edge node. Check that we have the broker here. Okay, we have some broker. We don't have just one. We have the MQTT broker, the standard broker, but we have also AMQA. We have HiveMQ. We have some other possibilities. Okay, but now we are going to use this one, the standard broker. Okay, and we are going to use also the industrial data simulator. You will see it here to simulate the data. Okay. So all the application we are going to use in this use case come from the marketplace, and you will see how easy to work with them. Okay, so I will just add a new broker and MQTT broker we have it here. I will just select the latest version. I can configure several parameters for connecting on this kind of thing. I will just use the default values for make it quick. And as you can see here, it had just started. We have logged, and now we have a broker available in this device. Check that in this URL section, again, I will make how do they say that? Well, I am just showing you one of our latest feature, but this is a new segment we have in the card. We can see the URL that we need to access the application here. Okay, but anyway, I will use a tool called MQTT Explorer because that helped me to access this device remotely, and I can connect to this broker remotely. Okay, I just need to select. Sorry, I just need to select the IP of this equipment. Okay, and now using that IP with the port and the username and password, I can access this broker. I am connected to this broker, but I cannot see any data here because there is nothing publishing data in this broker. Now, what I will do is just deploy the industrial data simulator. Okay, and this is an application that helped me to simulate devices just publishing messages from their devices. Okay, so I will just configure this application to access to this MQTT broker. Okay, and I will use here a configuration that I have predefined here, okay? That is also a good thing because I can prepare configuration in JSON format that you can see, and we can save it in the system to load them later, okay? So it is very easy to use. What I am just saying here is that I want you to take the data that is available in this file, in the CSV file, okay? I will just use this name as the device name, CNC01, and I will publish data every 5 seconds, okay? All the things you need to configure this parameter are available here in the technical note of the application. Okay, so we can see it also here in the technical note. Okay, we can see how to configure the JSON, the secret, everything is here. Okay, just without losing more time, I will just send this application, and this way I can see that the application is starting, and as soon as the application starts, I have to see some messages here. Here we have it, okay? So as you can see, now we have messages that are being received from that application into the MQTT broker, and check that the name of this device is CNC01. Maybe it's too small, but here we have it, CNC01. And we have the information about the accumulated stop, the cycle time, the energy consumption, the machine ID, the number of OK and no OK pieces. So this is the data we will use in Node-RED to calculate the OEE. Okay. Now that we have these two pieces together, okay, this one and this one, now we will deploy the Node-RED. Okay, let's do that. Also very quickly, I will just add a new application. Node-RED is also one of the applications that we have in the marketplace. We can configure the user, the password, install additional packages in the installation if necessary, the port where the application will be running, the volumes. And now here I can just include a flow, a Node-RED flow exported in JSON format. Okay, so I can again search here, and I will see they have this Node-RED, which is basically an OEE calculator for CNC. This is the flow I'm going to use in this Node-RED. So I will just send this application, and I will install it. Okay, and now I will see that here I have an URL to access the Node-RED UI using the VPN. So if I press here, I will see that it is okay. I am accessing the Node-RED. This Node-RED is running in this equipment. So I am accessing this application remotely. And now I have this here, this OEE calculation for CNC. And it is working right now. If I go back, well, I have not. If I go back to my MQTT Explorer, I closed it, so let me open it again. Here we have it. Oh, okay. We will see that now we have two different messages. We have the one provided by the industrial data simulator, and now the one that is being published by the Node-RED, okay? Which contains, you will see the OEE. Here we have the OEE and the availability and the performance and the quality parameters, these new parameters, okay? Let's show you how are we calculating that. In this flow, we have this code here. We take all the data received by the MQTT broker, and then we are calculating the availability this way, we are calculating the performance this way, and the quality this way, and finally we are creating, or we are calculating the OEE parameter just by multiplying all of them together. Finally, we create this new payload, and we publish it back again in the MQTT broker. Okay, this is basically what this flow does. Okay. So now we have all the data again published in the broker, as we have seen in the MQTT Explorer. Next step, now that we have these three pieces, now is the time for deploying the InfluxDB database, okay, and then deploying this little piece here, which is an ingester. This is an application that is basically going to read the information from the broker all together, all the data together, and then it will save it in the database. Okay, so two pieces. two steps. Okay, let's go. Let's move again here. I will just collapse my cars. Okay, so I have less noise, less visual noise, and I will install the InfluxDB database. Okay, also very easy to do. Just declaring I want to use the InfluxDB, selecting the version, selecting the parameters that I need to configure initially, or initially configuring the database. Again, everything is available in the technical node of InfluxDB. Okay, we have in the marketplace, so we can see here how to configure everything. And now I will just deploy it quickly. Okay, to save time, I will see I am installing InfluxDB. And again, here I can see I have a UI to access this InfluxDB remotely. I just press it, a new tab is open with the IP of my edge node, with the 8080C port, and now I can enter here. So the database is correctly working in my edge node remotely, but there is a problem. The problem is basically that we have no data in the database. It's empty. Yes, we need the ingester. That is the task that the ingester will help us to do. So let's collapse that again. Let's install the ingester, also available in the marketplace. We have several ingestors depending on the database you will use, depending on the service. We will use this one for moving the data from MQTT to iFlag, latest version, configuration to access both services. I will go quick because the time is running. And here is where I will just load another configuration that I have prepared here for ingester. Here we have it. We are basically saying, I want to use this bucket, BPR bucket, in the InfluxDB database. I want you to search the information that has this name in the MQTT broker, which is CNC01 OEE. And this is exactly what Node-RED is publishing. Okay, where we have it in the payload, we can see that this is the name that I don't know if you can see it properly, but we have it here. This is the name that Node-RED is giving to the messages that it is publishing, okay? And we will call this measure CNC01 in the database, okay? Very quick. That is what we do. So we will send this application, a new card will appear here. It will be installed, it's started, and in the logs, I can see in some second that, okay, we are now writing the information in this measurement TNT01. Okay, it is supposed to be working. The way of seeing that everything is working fine is going back to my InfluxDB, and if I reload this view, now I will see that we have a CNC01 measurement with the OEE, with all these parameters, and I can make a query so I can see that the information has just started to arrive. Okay, we have it in the InfluxDB. That is a very good news. We have just one pending step before
Oh,
moving to
Kike,
the next one.
sorry
Yes,
to interrupt, but before I let you continue, we have a question from Mr. Lucas Almeida.
yes.
He was wondering, do you have a guide on how to deploy a secure MQTT connection using certificates between the broker and the client, considering the broker is running inside a Barbara Edge node?
Yes, we have the possibility of using secure connection. Okay, everything is explained again. I repeat, always the same, but we have everything in this in this technical node. They are really complete technical node, but you can use certificate. You can use different ways of connecting to MQTT broker. Okay, using secure way of doing that. Okay, so the answer is yes. You can use secure communication with the MQTT broker. Okay, we can provide you more concrete information if you need that. Okay.
Wonderful,
Okay.
thanks.
Fantastic. There's any more questions?
For now, we're good.
Well, fantastic. So let's continue. We are just finishing this final use case. Okay. So now we have all these steps. The last step is the Grafana. The Grafana, you may know, is basically an application that helps you to create dashboards. So this way you can read the information from the InfluxDB and visualize everything in a beautiful dashboard in Grafana. Okay, so that is exactly what we are going to do now. I will collapse the logs. I will add a new application, obviously Grafana, also available in the marketplace. And then I will configure it to access the Influx server. Check one thing, a curiosity, okay? I like it. I like to mention it because it's really simplified thing. In order to access to this Influx, I need to set here the Influx URL, okay? You have here a tip of what every parameter is, okay? So you have to set here the URL of your service, but you don't need to use any complex IP number or anything like that. You just need to set the name of the service when the service is running in your same edge node, okay? Like this is the case, okay? We have this uh, InfluxDB, okay? It is running in this edge node. Check that the name of this well, we don't have this info available. It will be available in some second, okay? But anyway, we can see here the name of the services. For example, this one is called Node-RED. This one is called Industrial Data Simulator. Okay, this one is called MQTT Broker, MQTT BBR. Okay, and we will see here in some second that the name of this service is just InfluxDB. So this is the URL of this service. We don't have to use any complex IP. We don't have to do anything complex like that. So this is why we are using this way of setting the URL of this service. Okay, it is just because the DNS of the Docker daemon we have in the edge node will resolve it as the IP of this service. Okay, so I will just use this configuration, and here I will just include a predefined dashboard that I have prepared before in a JSON format also. Okay, so I can just select this Grafana, and this is basically a dashboard. So this way, as soon as the application is installed and I open it, I will see that we have an available dashboard, and I don't have to start creating a new one for this occasion, okay? So, well, we have this Grafana. We have also the Grafana UI available here, so I can press this button, and this way I can access the Grafana, and after logging it, the user and password, and voila, I can see the OEE calculation. Okay, I can see the energy consumption of this equipment, the spindle temperature, the RMS vibration, okay, and this way with the status of the machine, with the alarm code, and the cycle time versus ideal cycle time, and the pieces okay versus non-okay versus total. This is the way I am calculating the availability, the performance, and the quality of my equipment. And by multiplying these three parameters together, I am getting this OEE. Okay, so it is a simple bar. I really like this example, but it is a simple way to explain how to make a complete deployment, getting data from equipment, processing it, and having a final visualization dashboard. Again, we have been working with just a single edge node, but we can deploy this use case to a lot of different machines together using Barbara. Okay. Well, with this second example, I think we have finished with the use case I wanted to show to you. Okay. Anyway, I will continue with the presentation we have prepared for today, because now I want to focus today on the latest feature we have in this 3.0 version. I'm really happy with this update. It makes a big change in our platform. I think it contains some features that we were really, looking forward to show to you. And well, let's start one by one, okay? And let's see some updates we have in the platform. So the first one, I really like this one, auto onboarding flow. Now you can access or you can create your own trial account of Barbara. Okay, that is a really, really important point. I think Emilia, you will provide the URL we can use for requesting a trial or a demo version. Okay, so this
Yeah,
way.
you already had it in the chat.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emilia.
Of
I don't
course.
know what I would do without you. So it is very, very interesting because that way you can create your own demo version. You will start, and you have a quick start guide that helps you to start using Barbara with a wizard that is really, really well designed by our colleagues in the product team because you can, for example, you can start. Let me show you. I think I have it around here. Okay. So, well, I will move to this company. Okay. But this is a company that is empty and you can create an edge node that you can see here. Okay. So, you don't need to use a physical device if you don't want to. Okay. Let me show you how it is to, I will just delete this node. But when you enter in your demo account, you will see that you have no equipment. Obviously, you have no node register, obviously. Okay, and then you can add a new hosted edge node. Okay, we provide the possibility to use a virtual machine as a hosted node. It's provided by Barbara. So this way, you don't need a physical equipment. You don't need to complicate your life installing any OS or whatever. You just need to create a new node, and you will see that the new node appear here in your node list. Okay, and this way you can start deploying things. Okay, so you can see the node activation is in progress. Okay, and here you have your new hosted node that we will be ready in some seconds. Okay, it is really, really comfortable for you, and you can start testing the platform quickly. And even more, you can see that you have this quick start guide. Okay, and the quick start guide helps you to follow step by step. For example, you add your first node, then you can deploy node-RED, then you can modify the configuration, and you have a tutorial in Academy for every of these steps. Okay, so here you can see how to add your first node, then you can deploy node-RED, then you can modify the configuration to deploy your first workload, then you can learn how to capture and process data following this tutorial here, and finally you can store and visualize data. And one single or one uh, curiosity, what you will do at the end of this tutorial is having, do you see something known for you here? This is exactly what we have done, deploying this OEE use case. I did that for you. You can repeat all the process by your own, just following this tutorial here in Academy. Okay, so it is a good way of testing the platform, creating the demo license, and then creating your virtual node and start deploying application and making your own changes. Okay, so we are really, really happy about this new onboarding flow. Let's continue. What else do we have here? We have another interesting thing, the multi-company users. Okay, that is one thing that some people were requesting. Okay, especially those people, for example, system integrator company that use Barbara to provide services to different companies. Okay, so until now you should have a different account. Imagine you have three clients. You are working with Barbara with your three clients. You need three different licenses for every client. Now you have only one user that can access to different companies without sharing data. So it is very, very easy to use. In fact, you have seen that. I have a couple of companies for my user, okay, for showing you today. So now I can just log in here, and whenever I log in, I go to this view. where I will see choose the company you want to use. Do you want to use this company for the demo, or do you want this another company for another demo? So I can select here, for example, and I will just enter in this company that has X17 devices, blah, blah, blah. But now, if in the meantime I want to change that, I just have to press here, okay, and I can move back to the other company which just has one hosted node. Okay, so it is very, very comfortable when you have several companies and you want to change from one to the other using Barbara easily. Okay, let's continue. Next new feature we have. Wow, this one is really, really beautiful. I love that. The dashboard. Oh, I am so happy with that because with that view, it is one of the good things that our company, our colleagues in the design department, they do it very, very well. They have designed this dashboard that make all the information, all the necessary information for your account available in a single view. Let's change the company because this one has a lot of more information and I prefer that. For example, we can see here how many edge nodes do we have, how many of them are online, how many of them are offline, how many of them are updated. For example, I can see I have a couple of devices that are not with the latest version, so I can search for them and update them in parallel. I can see how many workloads are working in my edge node. I have 71 applications working in this 17 edge node, okay? 69 are run, one is stop, one has error, everything is here. I have also the telemetry alert. Okay, every time that I have a problem with some of these parameters, the CPU usage, the RAM, for example, here they have a minor alert in one device. Okay, so I can see it here. I have the cluster information, the workload that are running on cluster, the kind of network I am using in my edge node, okay, the application and model that have been deployed, okay, so I can see that the most used are InfluxDB or the ingestor or broker or Grafana, okay, I can see how many instances are deployed here. And I can also see the hardware I am using in my edge node. For example, I can see I have a couple of, 10 VMware virtual machines, three KVM virtual machine, one Delta I4S, one Atlantic AP3301, one Raspberry 4, okay? So I can see all the devices that I am using in my edge node. And finally, I have a map view of my edge node in this lower part. So it is a really, really good view because it helped me to have all the available information in a glance, okay? So it is really, really comfortable. One more thing, the map view, I really like also this one. It is true we had the map view before, but it was not so good as it is now because now we can go to this node view and I can select if I want to use the list or the map, okay? And whenever I can see the map, I can see all the results in this side, okay? I can see all my nodes in this side. So I can collapse them and I can select them. For example, if I select this equipment, it will move here to this one, okay? So, I can even check all the information of this equipment, how many applications are running, the default IP, the VPN IP. I can restart the edge node. I can disable or enable the VPN. And if I press here, I will also go directly to the detail of this edge node and I can start working with it, okay? So check how good is it view and especially when it is joined to the other one, I will go back to see all of them together, okay? And as you can see, when you are zooming out, you will see that you have all the result. If you zoom in some area, the result will be filtered and you will see only the equipment you have here, okay? So for example, now we have this equipment here. Okay, so this is also very easy to use, okay? This map view and then continue with another good functionality we have in panel, which is the workloads list. Again, this one was already available, but we have redesigned it. The workloads list is another way of seeing the information, okay? Normally, we used to work with this nodes list, okay? When you can see a list of the edge node you have available, and then you can see how many applications are running in every device, okay? The workload list, which is here, is a how to say, perpendicular view. You see an orthogonal view. You see all the applications that you have deployed, okay? And this way you can see, for example, you have 9 InfluxDB databases, okay? You can see where are they located, which versions, with the URL. You can even open the logs of any application from this view, okay? You can check the version. Whenever you can update the version, you will have a notification. You can see here, for example, that you have this application is stopped or with error. Obviously, if you have any of these notification, we will move automatically to the upper side of the window so you can see it before. Okay, so it is a good way of checking the application that you have deployed independently of the edge node you are using. Okay, so it is also a very convenient way of working. And remember, you don't have only the information of applications. Okay, you also have the action here to work with this application. And even more, if you click here, you will move to the edge device that contain that application. Okay, so this is another way of seeing all this information. Let's continue. Okay, we have some more new feature. The filter, also very convenient to filter information. Imagine this situation, we have just 17, but imagine you have 17,000 nodes, you have to look for some of them. What can you do? You can, for example, say, okay, I want to search in the devices that belong to the group default. You know that we can create groups, okay? So we can classify our edge node. This way, selecting the group, you will see only the edge node that belong to the group, but you can say, okay, I want to see the group, the devices that are online, okay? Imagine you say offline, then you will see nothing, okay? Because all of them are online, okay? And I want to see devices that are running some, for example, marketplace application only, and I want to see the which are located. I want to see those which have some alert. Okay, so different ways of filtering your devices depending on different parameters. Okay, you can clear all, obviously, and you can also use the edge, sorry, the text search. Okay, so you can always use a text for searching in your devices. It is a good way of filtering. Okay, and this is very important because this allows you to filter devices, select a small group of devices that you want to control. Okay, for example, imagine I want to see those devices that are offline, for example, and then I want to send them a command of whatever. Okay, so this way I can select all of them, and then I can, I don't know, send any command that I want to send to these devices. Okay, this is a way of filtering and commanding them in parallel. Okay, let's continue. We have this, well, in fact, we have seen this option, and this is a redesign of the application card. In the previous version, this information was in a different segment. The URL's information was not even available. So we have this way of accessing to the all configuration in the application together in this segment, just with the status of the application. And then you have also the URL segment where you can use these links to access directly to the service remotely. This is very, very convenient. It helps to save a lot of time. Okay. Finally, groups and permissions. Okay, we have group. It is not new. We have group for really a long time ago. I think that is something that is available from the very first version. I don't know. The new here is that now we can assign permission. And this is also something that our customer demand us. Okay, I have the group A, the group B, and the group C, okay? And I want this profile from my company to access only the devices that are in group A, and these other users that access only to devices in group B. Okay, now we can do that. Let me show you how can we do that. For example, um, whenever you create whenever you create in your organization, okay, you create a new user, okay, you can select the mail, you can select the role, and you can select the group assets, okay, you can select, here you will see your group, and you can say this new user will have only access to the default group and to this work group, okay. If we leave this empty, it will access to all the available group. But even more, we have here the sorry, not here, but um, here we can see this group management section where we have all the group and we can see all the user that have availability to this group. Okay, so in this case, administrators have access to all the group, but for example, if we have some user that has a lower profile, we can enable or disable from that group. So we can manage this access to the group automatically this way. Okay. Let's continue with the enhanced telemetry. This is something also new. We have much more information than before. Before we had information for basically CPU, RAM, disk, temperature, and I think nothing else. Okay. Now we have a lot of more information. Let me show you, okay, quickly. For example, here we have in this telemetry tab, we can see information for the CPU usage, the general CPU usage, but you can see how many CPUs being used per core, okay? So we have the information core by core. We have also the information for RAM from the CPU, the temperature of the CPU, the temperature average, the max temperature of the CPU, the disk uses in this equipment. But let me show you this one also, because this one has a GPU. And in this case, we have also the GPU usage, the GPU RAM usage, the GPU temperature, okay? And we can see information about how many power is consuming the GPU, much more information, okay? And as always, we can see in the case of this equipment that have different application running, I have 20 processes running on this equipment. So I can enter here and see all the information process by process. How many CPU, how many RAM, how many files are being used by all the processes that are in this equipment. So we have a lot of more information in the telemetry, including, I don't want to forget that, including information about the network usage when you have IP, okay, a modem, we can see the modem info. I have not a modem connected to this equipment. This is a pity, okay, because we cannot see the real information here, but I can see the operator name, the SIM path, the identifier, the IMCI. So all the information about my modem is also available here in this part, okay. I don't have a SIM card included in this equipment. That is why it is empty, but it is really, really powerful information that is completely new in this version, okay? Finally, I think that is the last thing. Yes, just on time. I wanted to give 5 minutes for question. This is the last one, and this is a really, really good one. There are a couple of commands, basically reboot command, Docker prune, and Docker daemon reboot. These are commands that we normally want to send whenever there is a problem with the edge node and we want to reboot it or we want to do that. So we can force this command right now. This is why we have a list of commands in the edge node. So until now, any command reaches the list in the upper area. So we have to wait until the other command were executed to this one to be executed. Okay, so now this fourth command will put this command, the first one, and it will be applied immediately, and the rest command that are in the list will be discarded. Okay, so it is really helpful because normally we want this kind of command to be applied immediately to recover my edge node, and now we can also do that. Okay, so Yeah, that is all from my side. That is quite a good demonstration today because I
For
think it has
sure.
been very complete. I don't know, we have some questions, something to from your side.
At the moment, no, we don't have more questions. I don't want, but I don't know if any of our participants would have any questions. Please feel free to do so. But in the meantime, I just wanted to thank you, Enrique, so much for the session.
You're
And thanks
welcome.
everyone for being here, for your time and your questions. It's been quite an intense but fruitful session, as you were saying, Kike. Please, if you have any more questions that come along during the day or during the week, do not hesitate to contact us. We're happy to help you. And please remember to take a look into the resources that we have shared. Before we let you go, if you don't mind, please take a minute to answer our survey. We would love it if we could get some feedback and input from you to help shape our future webinars. So if you don't mind, before you go, it'll just take a minute or even less, actually. And I think that's all from our side, right, Kike?
Yeah, fantastic. Yes,
Good. If we don't have any more questions, we will let you go. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Almeida. Mr. Almeida says it was a great presentation, and thanks you, Kiki, as well.
thank you.
Uh, thank you so much. We appreciate you all, and goodbye for now.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank
Have a
you.
great day. Bye bye. Thanks.